Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the APAC AI Communities session for the last in December 2021. My name is Sarath. I'm a data strategist and a data strategist and a cloud architect working for a company called BitKey, based out of Brisbane, Australia. Our goal for running this user group is basically to set it up and get people interested in AI. And so we are tailoring our topics towards anybody who's beginner or intermediate. Before we get started with the presentation, just a couple of housekeeping things. If you have any questions, just put them into the comments and I'll raise them as we go along. Apart from that, I would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I want to thank all our members who've stuck with us throughout the year in attending this user group. So with that in mind, the next couple of things I wanted to cover off quickly. We do have a LinkedIn group. If you want to join and connect with us, that you can join. We are active on Meetup. If you want to submit a session and you want to present at some point next year, please go to the GitHub site on screen and just log in your session as an issue, and we'll endeavor to get that sorted out. Alternatively, if you have a topic you want to hear about, again, same sort of thing, please log into the GitHub site and just raise it. Or alternatively, you can reach out to either one of us and we will try and see if get that session organized for you. Okay, we do have a Twitter handle, and Twitter handle is on there as well. Just in the interest of time today, and realizing that it's almost Christmas, that everybody wants to go away quickly or go on holiday, there will be no news tonight. We'll cover news come January. What we'll do today is basically go through our presentation. So our presentation tonight is being taken by Sumi, who you will recognize as one of our organizers as well. She's a Microsoft MVP in AI. She works for a company called Untitled Chapter, and she's been co-hosting this with me for about a year now. Welcome, Sumi.
Thanks, Sarath. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me as your speaker for this month. How are you doing, Sarath?
Doing well, thank you. I guess, Sumi, before we get started with the presentation then, maybe you want to take a few minutes to introduce yourself, apart from my brief introduction to our members?
Sure. As you mentioned, I've been helping or being part of this user group. It's been a year now that I've been part of this user group. So I had a great time working with you guys and I learned a lot throughout the year. So I'm all about AI and ML. So any topic related to this land that interests me, I'm keen to know more and discuss about it more. I'm not a very heavy technical person, but I will dig in and touch in any places that AI has an impact. You mentioned that I recently moved from Tesla Pepper to a different company. At the moment I'm working at Atlassian as an engineering manager. Before that I was a development consultant, so I was like full-on hands-on code, but nowadays I'm less hands-on. I'm still working with the team, which is fully technical, but I'm less coding these days. So these meetups and this conversation keeps my brain up to date and my it's kind of my side hobby.
Perfect. That is good news. Congratulations on your move to Atlassian.
Thank you. It was a big, it was a shift. I had a dilemma, so it took me quite some time to make that decision. But I'm happy that I made that call.
Perfect. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
What we'll do then is just quickly, in the interest of time, then we'll start with the presentation. So I'll leave the presentation through to you.
Sure.
Like I said earlier, guys, anybody in the YouTube channel, if you've got any questions, drop them in and I'll raise them as we go. Before we get started, I have a quick comment from Fang Yong Sun, who says, nice to meet you. Thank you very much. All right, we'll get started. Okay, I'll drop off, Sumi. It's all yours.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. All righty, let me share my screen, the proper screen, and then we can kick it off. So this should go down. I'll stop this presentation and I will set up the
Sorry about that, guys. Just bear with us. It looks like we have technical difficulties, and Sony's just drifted upstream. Look, AI has been in a very interesting part of, interesting phase this year. If you look at some of the presentations we've had that have come out this year, it's been a whole gamut. We've covered topics on AWS, we covered topics on Google, and we're covering topics on Microsoft Azure as well. So in terms of Google, we had somebody from Google, a solution architect, present on Vertex AI. Azure, we had a number of topics, including summaries around how to do vision, basically vision, something around medical, Gremlin AI, etc. So it's been quite an interesting year for AI, and I'm going to guess right now that it's going to get better next year. And welcome back, Sammy.
Thank you. So I accidentally closed my browser while I was switching between windows.
That's what I thought. I usually just go away onto another screen. So, okay, it's all yours.
So sorry about that. Thank you. Alrighty, so let's start from the beginning. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, guys. My name is Sami, as I mentioned earlier, and I will be your host and presenter for tonight as well. We were with Sarah as well. So tonight I thought I will talk about Azure Form Recognizer. But before getting to the technical topics, I already introduced myself, but let's go to the slides because I already prepared slides. So let's do that. I've been around software development for around 2 decades. Don't try to guess my age. At the moment, I'm engineering manager with Atlassian. As I mentioned earlier, I used to be like hands-on back-end development and front-end development. So I used to code a lot. But since I moved to Atlassian, I'm doing less coding, but I'm working closely with the technical team as well. So it's all exciting. I'm all about tech, even though I'm not coding nowadays. I'm part of one of the co-organizers of this user group, and as well as one of the co-hosts of the AI podcast. As you can tell, I'm all about AI and ML, and I'm keen to learn and know more about it. So this community and this discussion helps me to keep that momentum going. So I will learn a lot. I learned a lot in the past few years from our guests as well, and throughout the podcast that we had, we try to cover different topics from different industry and also from different community members who have done work like cool project with AI and using AI and ML services. So let's get into the topic. So I thought I'm going to keep this presentation a bit light. As I mentioned, I'm keen and enthusiastic about AI. So I'll go around and see where AI can touch and has an impact and drives values. We've been talking about AI in the past few years, so there's a lot in AI land and ML world, and it's keep growing. So what I'm keen and interested to see is where we can do a low-code or no-code solution and try to leverage on the existing features and services that are available to us, regardless of the providers, being AWS, being Microsoft, being Google. Regardless of the services, regardless of the provider, I am keen to see where we can minimize or reduce the maybe manual intervention and being able to get up to speed quickly with the service and start driving values and outcomes. So I was looking around, and I've been working with the Power Platforms, AI Builder within Power Platform, to see where AI can help how to drive or automate the business processes. And while I was searching around, there was something called Azure Form Recognizer within AI Builder. But behind the scene, there is another huge engine of Azure Form Recognizer that Azure provides. And I thought, let's dig in and dive in and see what it is and what feature it has. So it's actually a cloud-based applied AI services. I'm going to talk about applied AI services a little bit more. So the Azure Form Recognizer, what it does is it uses machine learning model to extract and analyze forms, text, tables, and the cool thing is it starts analyzing like key value pairs, which is which is basically we are providing unstructured data, being PDF, being an image, and as a return, we'll get a structured JSON format value. So right away, without doing any coding, we will get the structured way of JSON, whatever that analysis and that service could extract from the document. And the Azure Form Recognizer service, which I'm going to show you a little bit more, it's actually try to categorize different sections, different format, or different layout that it can capture from the document. So it'll kind of make it a bit more handy, to be able to drive values pretty quickly without manual intervention. So we can quickly get accurate result. You upload your form, you upload your documents, and you analyze your documents, and pretty quickly you can get result, and you can see the values out of that document. It can be tailored to your specific or customized forms that you have, and you can use that to automate your process. You can use that to integrate that solution, for example, for knowledge mining further as well. So it will reduce the time that you needed to spend to prepare that underground work. So from months, it will reduce the time to days. So within the days that you can set up your initial solution upfront, and you can start driving values to your customers as well. I mentioned about Apply AI services. It is basically relying on cognitive services. Cognitive services, there are a bunch of REST API which provides different values, right? Applied AI services has been built on top of the cognitive services, and at the moment they are introduced. They are supporting like 5. They have like 5 or 6 component on top of cognitive services. One is Azure Bot Services. The other one is Azure Form Recognizer, Azure Metric Advisor, Video Analyzer, Cognitive Search itself, and Immerse Reader. The cool thing is you can integrate these services together, and you can build a huge application using these services without actually doing a lot of coding in the background. So as I mentioned, it reduces the time for development, and you can quickly modernize your processes and your business solution, and it will speed up the process that you need to put in the beginning as well. As I mentioned, it is REST API, right? So everything is based on REST API underneath. So Azure Form Recognizer is using applied AI services. If we cannot get the value that we want from the Apply AI services, there's always a way back to going to the actual cognitive services and start using those services from Azure. So I'm sure there will be more stuff regarding. So what Microsoft has done is, so there was a cognitive services that there were like a bunch of APIs that you could use. They try to kind of simplify the process by adding these applied AI services. So they try to reduce the manual intervention and create a pre-built model and components that we can start using without doing any other like background work. We can like spin them up from scratch and start using them. But if that doesn't suffice our requirements, we always can go back to the cognitive services and start using those cognitive services. Going back to Going back to the Azure Form Recognizer. Azure Form Recognizer, as I mentioned, you will provide your documents, the PDF documents or image documents. It will analyze your image for you. So for using OCR, it will analyze the image for you, or it will analyze the documents for you. It will try to distinguish between different structure. If you have tables, checkboxes, or any components within the documents, it will try to identify those documents. So we'll try to actually read out those documents for you and try to capture the information and analyze that documents for you. You can get different objects from that documents. You can get the key value pairs structure out of the documents. You can read out the tables from the documents. For example, if you have invoices throughout your company, or you have different receipt or anything within your organization, and those can be read. Those can be read quite quickly using the form recognizer. In old days, we had to scan those. Somebody needed to go through those, manually enter the data. So using AI and cognitive services, and on top of that one, Azure Cognitive Services made our life much easier. So that manual steps in the beginning has been omitted, and we can drive value quicker. I'm emphasizing of driving values because the whole point of any services is to drive value to our customers. So the quicker that we can provide value to our customer or to our end user, the better outcome that we can get. And we can assess and get feedbacks from the data that we are capturing. So that's the whole point, I believe. So And I guess I mentioned that you can integrate these AI services to other services as well. So you can create a knowledge mining component within your application. You can also automate your process. You can use Logic App or Power Automate to automate your process. You receive invoices, you can scan invoices, and using Logic App or Power Automate, you can send those invoices to other systems, for example, your ERP system that you might use. So you can see where you can fill the gaps using these form recognizer. Behind the scenes, you can either use with out-of-the-box, no-code, low-code solution. It always has options with our team developers to start using different SDKs. I know it provides Python, C#, Java as well. So you can use these SDKs and start writing your own code. But what it does, it will just try to simplify our initial process. So we'll create something, let's say pseudocode for us, and then we can use that pseudocode within our solution and application as well. It supports printed and handwritten languages. Handwritten languages is, I guess it's only supports 8 or 10 languages so far, but for printed languages, it supports more than 122 languages. It goes back to Vision API, and Vision API supports a few more languages at this point in time, especially for the right to left languages. At the moment, Azure Cognitive Form Recognizer doesn't provide. I was keen to try that one out, but unfortunately, Azure Form Recognizer doesn't provide right to left language as of yet. But underlying services, which is as cognitive services, it does provide right to left languages, which is at the moment is in preview. So it supports Arabic, which is one of the languages which is right to left. It's right to left language. It will detect the Arabic, but it is in preview. So I'm sure in a few months' time we will have more languages, and it will cover more languages for us as well. But 122, it's not a low number either as well. I've been talking about the underlying cognitive services. So the key service and engine behind the Azure Form Recognizer is Computer Vision API. Computer Vision API has few features. One is text extraction, which uses OCR, also image analysis. So with the image analysis, as I mentioned earlier, it will detect whatever it can see. It will try to describe that image for you. If the faces, if it's the faces, you can guess the age, you can guess the sentiment of that face, you can see the emotion of that face. If there's a text on that image, it will try to read out that image for you, being handwritten and printed. As I mentioned, it supports different languages that we can use. Form Recognizer is one of the features which is part of the image analysis as well, plus the text extraction. The other thing that computer vision is a spatial analysis. So what it does, for example, you're streaming a video, or you have for example, in your shop or in your, I don't know, community that you are. So there are like camera that you're detecting. You're in a room, for example, and there are a bunch of people you want to detect how many people are wearing masks or not, right? So you can kind of, using spatial analysis, you can understand the relationship between different objects from that streaming video, and based on the data that you can capture, you can take an action. So for example, you can have a Power BI, and you can have a dashboard based on the data that you're collecting, and based on the outcome that you have, you can decide what to do next from your business process that we have. As you can see, there are many use cases that we can go by using these available features. The cool thing is there's less dev work involved in order to spin up these features. I was talking about Power Platforms. There's a section in Power Platforms called AI Builder. So it is basically for non-technical or business users. So they can start using and get driving values from AI services without actually needing to write a single line of code. So the whole point is to make this process easier for every person, being technical and non-technical, to be able to obtain values from these services. So Computer Vision API is one of the cognitive services that are available. There are a few other more that you can try and see. There is a translation API. There is audio. There's one for audio. There's one for translation. There is one for search, and there is always a custom API that you can use. Within each of these cognitive services, you have the option to customize. So you can create your own custom version. You can build your own model. You can train your own model based on the need that you have, based on the current specific format that your organization or your company uses, and you can train your model. So if at any point in time, if none of the pre-built models or items are good for you, you always can go and use the custom API to build your own model and train your own model, and it will do the same for you. So it's everything is kind of ready for us to use. It's just a matter of which one suits our need most. I'm going to go through the Azure Form Recognizer, and I want to I will show you the features that it has. I'm touching the areas that it requires no code, low code solutions. So I just want you guys to see how quickly and how easy it is to see the values and start like building out of that values. So what I found out is Microsoft is trying to move toward that path that the heavy part, that the heavy handling is done, and the value is already at reach for us to use, and then we can build our own solution using these values. So it kind of cleans our data for us, and then we can start driving values for our customer and for our users as well. Going back to Azure Form Recognizer, at the moment, the general version, version 2.1 is a general availability one, and it has these available models and API that we can use. As I already explained a few of them, but I'll go through those as well. The layout API will extract and analyze the text and the format of the documents that we have. For example, checkboxes, tables, it will detect how many lines it is, the top, the header. So we'll try to understand the format of the documents. The custom model, as I mentioned, you can provide your own templates, your own documentation, and you can assess and analyze the document as well. The invoice, it will go by pre-existing model. So it has some pre-default or pre-existing invoices. So we'll try to analyze. So it will work for the common use cases. So it's in this common industry use cases or invoices, it will try to detect all the information from it. Similar to any other AI services, it has the accuracy that you can see how accurate and how good your the detection is. And as I mentioned, and I'm emphasizing is that it will extract a key value pair, which is very cool. The structured JSON output, it is very handy for developers to be able to set up their data model and start building the solution or extend their solution further as well. The receipt, same goes for the receipt. So you can, it's kind of a data processing, which is automated, and extract the key information from the sales receipt. If it's common within industry sales receipt, it will pick up. If it's not, there are other ways as well. So if it's not, either you can try with the receipt model, the pre-built model, or there is another one which has been introduced in version 3, which I'm going to show you, which is a general documents, which try to detect as much as it can. If that doesn't work either, there is always custom model that we can go back and we can train our own model. So we can have our own set of forms, receipt, invoices, and we can train the form recognizer to start picking up the information or extract those information for us. The ID documents at the moment, it's mainly working on for example, US documents or driving license. But as I tested, specifically in AI Builder, it will detect other ID cards as well. But it might not be accurate as the US version. That is in progress as well, so I'm sure they will add different formats and different templates to the pre-built models. There is always a way for us to go back and create our own custom model, or go back and use a general document model. I might be going a bit fast, so I'm sorry. I'll try to slow down. The other one is the business card as well. So that I use that in AI Builder as well. So, for example, you're in a community, you're in a meetup, you're receiving lots of business cards, so you might lose some of those. So easily you can take a photo, you can upload that to your Power Apps, and that engine is already, that company is already built in for us. So it will scan, it will extract all the information. For example, I'm just giving you a use case. For example, I've got a Power Apps which has AI Builder. Within AI Builder, there's a component called business card model. Using that, you will scan, it will extract all the information from that card, and you can send those information to your OneDrive, to your SharePoint, to your mailbox. So you can capture the information, and you don't need that business card, like the physical business card either. So you can automate that process pretty quickly, in like few steps, without writing a single line of code. In version 3, which is in preview and has been recently updated in Microsoft website, there are few updates. They added the general document model. So if the model of the documents that we have doesn't suit the rest, the ones that I already explained in version 2, you always can go back to general. You always can go to use the general document model, which is again a kind of a pre-built model, but it will detect the general. It will try to extract the generic information from that document. Try with this one. If none of these model works, try with the general documents, and if it still doesn't pick up the information that you have on your custom form, go with the custom model one. But as far as I tested with the form recognizer, it will pretty much like 80% it will pick up all the informations. But if that doesn't suit your needs or your company needs, you always can use the custom model and build your own model and train your own model to be tailored for your own solution. So as it's written here, it will extract text, table, structure, key values, and name entities. It's like a combination of everything. The layout API, initially it was layout model, but initially it was layout API, but now they turn it to a model, so it's actually a pre-built model that you can use. And that's the update from version 2 to 3. For the custom model, it started like detecting the signatures as well. So if you have a component that you want to like store the signature separately, you can detect and pick up and extract that signature field, and you can store it somewhere else based on your need as well. For the receipt model, it will add as I said, it goes by industry receipt version, but they started adding more use cases. So it will start like single page hotel receipt, it can read and detect. If it doesn't work, there's always a way. Go back to general document. If it's not the case, go to the custom model and you can build your own as well. For IE documents, apart from the US driving license, there are other ones that we can extract information from, the vehicle classification. But at the moment, based on Microsoft website, it says it is covering US documentation. But as I tested with the other Australian ones, it will pick up. It might not be as accurate as the US one, but it will pick up and extract information. And I guess it's good enough. I mean, for the cases that I used, it was good enough. But if it doesn't work, there's always a way back. We can go and build our own custom model one. So before going to the use cases, I want to switch and show you the Azure Form Recognizer Studio, which has been introduced in version 3. So initially, the only tool that was available for Azure Form Recognizer services was a simple labeling tool that you can categorize. You can it will scan your documents, but you can categorize and maybe tag your documents. But in the Microsoft Azure Form Recognizer Studio, you have that visual interaction, and you can see the values right away, which I'm going to show you now. I guess I'm going okay with time. Sarah, if I'm not doing well, please ping me so I can slow down or speed up. Alrighty, so this is in preview. Hopefully it will be in GA in next year, which is January or Feb. So this is a form studio. All the things that I was talking about, these are the models that we have. So you can see the pre-built model, invoices, receipt, business card, and identity documents. They are available for us to use. There's always a custom model that we can go by. We can build and train our own model based on documents or form, based on the different format of documents that we have. We have different business entities within our organization, and each are using its own format of documentation. So we may need to go with the custom form and categorize our different formats based on that. It's based on the use case that you might have. So have a play and see which one suits you most. I want to try show you two samples. One is the layout, so you can see the structure. It will detect the structure of the documents, and the other one is general documents. In general documents, I want to show you different languages, so bilingual documents, and see how it can pick it up. So this is a sample document. So it's, as you can see, it's like a pretty standard format. It has heading, address. It has telephone, email address, a header sections with some checkbox or phone numbers, and it has tables. Let's see how it can pick it up. So when we use layout API, layout model, what it does is actually start by assessing the structure of the document. So it doesn't care much about the content at the beginning. It will try to assess the sections or the segment of the document first. For example, it's a table. These are checkboxes. So we'll try to understand the layout first. And also you have the option to maybe include or exclude that from your output. So I can exclude the checkboxes from the output, so it will get unhighlighted as well. or I can exclude. So based on your selection on the document, the JSON will change as well. As you can see, it assisted analyze the documents, and it gave me JSON format. So this is very handy that you can set up your data set and you can set up your classes based on the information that you have. So you can easily create your, add a document to your Cosmos DB based on this data structure. The other cool thing is you have the code version of it as well. So you have the initial code that you can use. It is in Python, but it is available in other languages as well. So you can grab this code and basically it does what it just showed you. So if you have the layout API in your Azure services, you can just put your endpoint and the key, and then you can start calling this API as well. The other one is general document, which has been introduced in version 3, and it is still in preview. As I mentioned, if the format and the solution that we have, or the type of the documents that we have doesn't suit these 4 items, or for example, it's not US related, we're in Australia or different countries, we can always go by general documents. It has pre-items that I just want to do the same. So similar, it's, as you can see, it's pretty quick to pick it up. I tried with my own documents, it was quick, but when I tried with different language that doesn't support it, it took a long time to process, and for some it didn't process because that language wasn't supported, obviously. So as you can see, it gave me the key value pair of each items, and you can see the accuracy and the confidence level of each item that has been picked up as well. So for example, this is not as accurate. So maybe we need to use different way to handle this information. If that information is a key and we needed to extract that, we may need to think of something else to do that. But as you can see, it highlighted different information and it gives me the key pair value that, again, if you think a bit ahead, you can use this structure to extend your solution as well. The result, as always, in JSON, you have the structure. So you give the unstructured data and it will give you the structured JSON file back, which is kind of handy. I mean, if you think of the time that you need to spend to access and analyze documents, this is pretty handy to use as well. And same as the other one, you have the code available that you can use as well. So I try to simplify the initial step that we need to take in order to drive values. What I wanted to do now, we were talking about languages. So as I said, it will support, I guess, 8 to 10 handwritten languages and also more than 122 printed languages. But it doesn't still support right to left languages. As I mentioned, Cognitive Services, which is underlying engine of this service, started supporting right to left languages, which one of those languages is Arabic, which is still in preview. But Azure Cognitive Services doesn't support it just yet. I'm sure it will come into the pictures pretty soon as well. But what I did, I just wanted to see how it works. So I tried to add a document that has like 2 languages, English and Farsi. And I wanted to see how it can pick it up. Let me check. Yes, this is the one. So there are like 2 sections to these documents for the people who cannot understand the other language. So it has 2 sections. On the left-hand side is English. The other hand side is Persian language, which is one of the right to left languages. So if I analyze these documents, interestingly, if you can see, it takes a bit longer, but interestingly, it could detect not everything, but it could detect few of the items. So it could detect the English for sure, and the answer as well. But I can understand it. It is good enough, I would say. And the table, same information. It can understand that. It could understand. But when I tried with only one language, which is a right to left language, it couldn't detect. So I just provided like 1 document with the Persian or Farsi format. It couldn't detect. So I think it is underway, so it will come soon. But Cognitive Services, as I mentioned, it started providing Arabic, so I'm sure the other languages will be added as well. But it was cool to see, even though they say it does not support it just yet, it does something, which was pretty cool to see. Sorry, you're mute.
Sorry about that.
Yes.
Just a quick question for you. When you were saying that it couldn't detect it when there was only one language, what do you mean? Does it?
I can. I can show an example. It didn't detect
That's nice.
anything from that document. So let me just add a document, which is this one didn't detect. Let me try this one. So if I analyze this one, this document is in Farsi, and I guess this one it only detect one or none. See, nothing in the key pair value. The JSON is, it could detect the structure of the documents, but not the content.
Okay.
Few words here and there, but not much.
So basically, based on your example, then if you wanted to detect a language that goes from right to left, you need to provide a corresponding language so you can actually differentiate correctly. Is that right?
Yes, but because it's not supported yet. So I haven't tried with the cognitive services that supports Arabic. It is in preview, so I have to go and try that one. It is doable, I'm sure, because when it's available in cognitive services, it's like a month away from being available in Azure Form Recognizer as well. But at the moment, no, it couldn't. So I tried many, different documents. So let me try the other one, which has a structure like a table. That one didn't pick up either. So this is another one. So this is from the embassy. It didn't pick up this one either. It will understand the structure, the table, but it doesn't. Oh, that's actually good. That is cool. And it is pretty accurate from that section. But as you can see, it doesn't scan the whole documents for us.
Okay. Well, that's good. That is good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. So because we had a interestingly, I mentioned that we had a episode in our AI podcast, and it was documenting AI, and there was a solution that our guests were presenting, and they're actually supporting right to left languages. They're using cognitive services. I'm not sure which provider it was, but they are supporting right to left languages. But basically, they started with the left to right languages because that's the majority of the languages that we have available. But they started picking up the right to left one as well. And it's pretty cool to see that they try to cater for different languages. For example, you have you might have an organization that span across multiple continents, so with different languages. So you may have documents coming from different languages, different formats. So you wanted to be able to streamline those documents and those formats. And I guess it will be pretty handy and pretty cool if we can start using the same documents regardless of the language that it has, and start picking up the data. One thing that we can do, there's always a way. So there's another cognitive service that we can use, which translate the language for us. So there's one additional step. Until that comes into the picture, there's one additional step. Analyze your documents, extract the text, translate that text to the language that you want, and then use that. So you can store that information in your blob storage, and you can do whatever you want with that information. Once it's translated to the right language that it supports, your system supports, you can derive value out of that. So there's always a way, even though it's not there and there's one step. So we can still use that. So the first thing that when I was creating this one, the first thing that I thought about was, hey, I can do that. I can extract the text. I can translate the text to my destination language, and then I can do same thing. So it's just one additional step for me to be able to derive the same values or provide the same values to my end user. Cautious of time, guess I'm gonna go back to the slide. So these are the same thing, and it is in preview. So with if you have Azure account, you should be able to sign up for the free version. You would be able to start using the Azure Recognizer services, which is still in preview. So it should be GA in a few months' time. There are always documentation available, so it's very easy to kick off and spin up your services and start seeing the values out of that one. I mentioned about this. I'm not sure, if some of you may have worked with the Power Platform as well, the AI Builder. So the look and feel is pretty much similar. So if I show you the AI Builder, it's pretty much similar. So it has the same pre-built components and entities, which I really like that Microsoft tries to keep it consistent across different products that it has. So it's easier for the user or non-technical user to pick those ones up and start learning about and start working with those. All right, going back to the slides. Let me switch back without closing my browser. Alrighty. All right. So few use cases. I guess I mentioned while I was talking about it, so I mentioned some of the use cases, but this is what I picked from the Microsoft documentation as well. So you can decide when and which model you can go by. For example, if the document format that you have is invoice, receipt, business card document, which is composed in English-based languages, you can go by the invoice, receipt, and business card model. If it's not, you can use layout or general documentation. If that doesn't work as well, you can always go back to the custom model. If your document is ID document, you can go by the ID document. If not, layout, general documents. If not, custom model that you can go by. Form or documents. If it's, again, industry standard forms, you can use a layout or general documents. If it's not a standard, you can train and build your own using custom model as well. So there's always a way. The tool is there for us, and the environment is there for us. We just need to start playing with it and see which one can give us more value. Some of the use cases, I didn't get time to create a demo, but some of the use cases which I'm going to show you, that you can think of any other use cases, but some of the use cases I picked two. One is the invoice extraction. The other one is knowledge mining. So for example, you're receiving invoice through the attachments. And when you can use your logic apps to extract the attachment, put it in the blob storage. You also can use the form recognizer and assess the document, analyze the documents, capture the data, and then you can provide those data to Power BI or other ERP system that you have. So this is a kind of a solution design of invoice extraction. So different use cases that you can use. At the beginning, if you're receiving different invoices, you can categorize those invoices, right? So you might have receiving invoices from different departments, which each has their own format. So you can use cognitive services to categorize your invoices and then pass it through the system. Okay, these invoices that come from the finance, the other invoices that come from the sales. There are different formats, so you add one additional steps, categorize your invoices, and then proceed with the rest of the process. This is just a sample that you can use. So you can come up with based on your need, your structure, you can start building those. So it just shows how easy it is to set up the initial bits and pieces. So the building blocks is there for us to just build whatever we want. The other solution that I kind of like is a knowledge mining one. For the knowledge mining for the solution, so you have lots of information, lots of documentation within your organization, and there's always search feature available, right? So you want it to be able to surface the information, surface the knowledge to your user, to your customers pretty quickly with an accurate information. And those information can come from different resources. It can be stored in SharePoint, it can be stored in OneDrive, it can be stored in database, it can be scanned documents sitting in one folder, right? So it can be structured and unstructured data coming to your system. So you want to be able to maybe normalize those documents, normalize those data, and then surface the information to your customers. So the knowledge mining is kind of the concept of the knowledge mining is like that. So what you can do, this is a simple kind of architect that you can go by. So you can ingest the documents. So you can use the Form Recognizer or other Azure cognitive services to assess and scan your documents or images, categorize and clean up your data, and then enrich your data using the AI services as well. So if it's vision, language, speech, as I said, you might have audio saved from presentation or from the talks or from the meetings, that you can extract text from those audios and store those texts. So if I search for anything related to that particular topic, aside from the printed documents, you also can give me the text or the subtitle of that meetings or that presentation. So you can provide more values or more information to your customers. So knowledge mining is actually relying a lot on the cognitive services to enrich the data that is providing to the end users. And we can use different services to surface those data. You can use bot, you can have an agent, let's call it intent agent, that to decide what information and when to surface to the customer, or based on the search a customer, or based on the information that you want to surface, you can do other stuff. You can have a bot in the background to navigate or direct your customer to other departments with your information. So if you step back and think of a big picture, there's a lot that we can do. And for example, earlier, like in the few years back, building on and enriching those data was the most difficult and most expensive task to do. But having these pre-built or the blocks ready to use, I guess it made it easier. We can save a lot of time, and in many cases, we can save a lot of money. So rather than spending months on building the component and the structure, you can spend days to spin out a system like this. If you, I'll share the link as well. If you go to the knowledge mining in Microsoft, there's a couple of different solution design or use cases that you can go by and see which one suits your company or your need best. And as I mentioned, you can use the Form Recognizer as one of the, in order to enrich or read from the unstructured data, you can use Form Recognizer to read the data and make it more structured. So you receive the JSON structured version, which is a JSON file, and then you can use that data, store it, and then do something else with it as well. This is another sample, which, as I mentioned, your information comes from different services. You capture those information, you access those information. You can use different Azure services, for example, Azure Function and Storage Blob, and then you can do whatever, basically whatever you want with the data that you have. There are a few other samples and services which I'm going to share afterward as well. Oh, that we came to an end. So these are the resources that you can start look into. I would really suggest, if you're keen to see how Azure Form Recognizer works, the Azure Form Recognizer Studio is pretty handy. It's pretty easy to set up without knowing a lot about technical side of it. You can start adding your documents, different documents, different formats, different ID cards that you have. You can quickly see how smart it is, how accurate the outcome is. So you can see the outcome pretty quickly, and then you can decide what you want to do next. There is a pretty good and extensive documentation available in Microsoft as well. So you can go through those documents. The majority of the information that I just presented that came from Microsoft website as well. So you can go through those information. And as I mentioned, there are SDKs. So for our developers, there are SDKs available. So you can use Azure Form Recognizer services in C#, Java, JavaScript, and Python as well. So you can start going through those tickets as well. The Azure, if you're keen to know more about AI, there's AI School and AI Lab provided by Microsoft that you can dig in and you can see. Microsoft is doing pretty cool kind of search project as well. So it has like a mini search project that Microsoft does from time to time, and outcome of those AI search mini project they will build cool stuff out of that. One of the other interesting topic that I presented a few months back as well, the Seeing AI app, which was one of the search projects that Microsoft started. Seeing AI app relies heavily on the customer vision API. So if you think out of the box or maybe step back and see the big picture, there's a lot that we can do with AI as well. And at the end of the day, AI is here to empower us to do more with the technology. Thanks a lot for listening. Happy holiday and have a wonderful new year. COVID-free.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. That was a great presentation.
I
mean, it's interesting what Form Recognizer, where Form Recognizer is going, because like you said, there's a lot of use cases for it. And the biggest one that you outlined is how do we standardize invoices across different companies and different time zones just to get a standard set of data without actually having to do manual translations. So it's really great where they're going with it. And I can't wait to see what they will do with it in the future. Right?
Yeah, I'm excited about it too.
Okay.
Do we have any questions? Or
no, we have comments. Fang Yong says thanks. And we've got another comment from Peter Fitzsimmons, basically saying whether we can get a copy of that slide deck.
Sure thing. I will pass it on to you, and we can put it up in the channel or the YouTube channel that we have.
Yeah, we can either put it on YouTube or we'll put it on Meetup. Let me work that out for you, Peter, and I'll get in touch with you. Is that all right? Or I'll reach out to you on Meetup as well. See if we can get that information through to you. And we've got another comment from Bertus.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. And yours.
Yes. Thanks everybody for coming. Look, in the interest of time, what I might do is I might just go ahead to the closing for this user group.
I will try to share without closing.
Perfect. Thank you. Look, like I said earlier, our next event is obviously in January. We don't have a speaker just yet. We're trying to organize one. Once we do have something organized, we will raise it on the Meetup site. We'll try and aim to release it as early as possible, but being that it's the Christmas period, it's going to be difficult. Like I said earlier, if you have a session that you want to submit or you want to hear about a session, let us know, and we'll do our best to chase it up for you. Okay? We do have a YouTube site. We are part of the global AI community. All our videos that we've taken so far is basically available at the link shown. Okay, please go and have a look. Not just the APAC AI, there's a whole bunch of other videos that different user groups around the world have done as well. So that should be prove interesting too. Okay. Our user group would request getting some feedback. Now we've been running this session on and basically streaming it for about a year now. We would like to see how it's going, whether you like it, whether you like the format, whether you want something changed, whether you think that it's it's a good way to go, or any other feedback really. Okay. And with that, I would say a big thank you to everybody, all our members who came tonight to have a look at the Meetup group. Big thank you to Sumit for actually presenting. And I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And stay safe. I know things are quite dicey in Australia and New Zealand at the moment with COVID, so get yourself vaccinated and stay safe. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
Bye. More comment from Peter. Thanks a lot, Peter. We're trying our best to get you more more topics on AI, not just related to Microsoft, Google, or AWS. But I'll keep you posted once we get more information on that.
Cool.
Bye. I'm stopping the broadcast here.